Hi, folks. You're with Tassus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the people that are arrested at these Antifa riots in the United States, such as at Portland, Oregon, but elsewhere as well. And have a look at I've had a look at the footage, and you can pick out that there's a lot of Hispanic, Latino-looking folks there. There's a lot of women, a lot of sort of very, very lesbian-looking women there. They're not all college kids' age. They're older than that. Some in their 30s, 40s, or even 50s, for goodness sakes. So, do the arrests match up with the racial and age range mix of the crowd? The crowd that's rioting, so the mob, and so I stayed in the notes. I had a look at the arrests, and they were out of for example 20. There were more than 20 actually, but out of 20 arrests, there were 16 men, 18 white people of the 20, and only 2 Hispanic. Also were both men, so I couldn't see a single Hispanic female in there. Now maybe they had arrested them, or they hadn't processed them and put their photos up yet or something. I don't know, but anyway, of the photos that I've seen, they don't seem to match the crowd. So I went back over the footage and looked at it. So well, maybe the Latino chicks aren't committing. They're standing back and screaming, but they're not actually throwing stuff or spitting or pushing officers or engaging directly in preventing the officers from performing their legal duties. And so I'm back at the footage. No, that's not the case. There's plenty of Latino chicks that are throwing stuff, throwing rocks and whatever else they can lay their hands on, pushing and shoving police. With the ICE officers, spitting on them, kicking them, and so on. And they appear also to be organisers. So there seem to be quite a few people at these riots that don't speak English well enough. And so there are people organised in the crowd to scream instructions at the Latino rioters that have poor English, to translate, so shout to them in Spanish, saying, do this, go here, do that, and so on. And if you listen to some of the chants, it's clearly the chanting is done by people that don't speak English as a first language. So why do the arrests not reflect the people who are the troublemakers and the instigators and organisers in the crowd? Why are there not more Latino people being arrested? Now, it doesn't mean there aren't white people in the crowd, but at first I thought, well, maybe it's the white people that are the real troublemakers. They're the ones that are throwing the stuff or, again, trying to assault ICE officers and the like. But that's not right. Certainly white people are there, and very well represented, by the way. But there are plenty of Latino people, and the amount of women being arrested seems to be far less than the amount of men being arrested, even though in the crowds you're looking at anywhere from, if it's below a third, it's a very low female represented group. Oftentimes the rioters consist of 50+% females, most of whom seem uni student type age, not all, but most. So the arrests aren't reflecting what I see of the troublemakers. If you're obstructing the police or assaulting police or anything like it, doesn't matter whether you're a woman or Latino or white or lesbian or this, it shouldn't matter. You should be arrested. That's it. Hey, it's justice for all and no one's above the law, or everyone's equal before the law. So arrest anyone that does it. Oh no, she's a little Latina chick, we can't arrest her. I mean, is that something that's going on here? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is. But the arrests are disproportionately white people. So white people make up 40% of this particular crowd, but make up 92% of those arrested. again, if they've broken the law, that's fine. They're arrested. I'm not complaining with that. But why do the arrests not reflect the law breaking and the racial mix of the crowd? The rioting mob is really my question there, and I don't know the answer. Now, the other thing that sort of surprised me, and I did a breakdown on this, I looked at a few riots, and they give the the information after the people have been arrested. This is just from the arrest records, by the way. They have the where do these people come from? Where do they live? Where's their residence, primary residence or only residence? And what sort of really surprised me was just under 5% of the people, the mobs rioting, actually come from the city. So in Portland, as an example, only about 5% actually come from Portland. In total, somewhere around 15% actually even come from Oregon. Oregon is not a huge state population-wise. I think it's got a population of somewhere between 4 and 5 million, I think, off the top of my head. But it's so it's not a huge state. Maybe they've just struggled to gin up the numbers at a place like that. I don't know. But there's again only a small proportion. 1 in 20 of the rioters come from Portland, and only 1 in 6 comes from Oregon. Even if you add in the adjacent states, so the states next to Oregon, so say they might live near the border areas, or it's only a few hours to drive to Portland, and so a dedicated rioter, of course, would think nothing of traveling a few hours. But some of these people don't appear to be particularly well-to-do. So who's paying for all this? And I'll come back to that in a minute. So even 3 hours there and 3 hours back on the highway, unless you've got a little bubby buzzbox car or something, that's still going to, you're still going to chirp a few $100 in gasoline, petrol. And then you got somewhere to stay, you got to eat, you got to have a change of clothes, you got to have access to laundry facility, and so on and so forth. Where are you getting your masks and your riot shields from? Who's paying for that? So it's still quite an expense, even if it's someone coming from just out of state, like as in an adjacent state. But the reality is that more than half of the, approximately, no question, more than half the people came from long distances away, and a very sizable chunk, 45% actually came from New York, for fuck's sake. Now that's 2,940 miles away, nearly 4,000 kilometers away from Portland, Oregon. What are these people doing traveling all that distance to go to a fucking riot in Portland? I mean, how organized is Antifa? How motivated are these people? Why are they getting time off from university? Why are those same universities giving them extra credits on their sociology courses if they go and attend the riots? Why are the universities allowed to do that? If you go and attend that riot and you assault ICE officers, like if you attend the riot in Portland, we'll give you 1 credit. If you assault an ICE officer, we'll give you 2 credits. And if you beat an ICE officer unconscious, we'll give you a 3 credit. I mean, how does it work exactly? Universities openly and brazenly saying that you can go and attend a riot thousands of miles away and be rewarded, richly rewarded for it, and be held up as a moral superior, an exemplar of moral superiority. I mean, why are the universities allowed to do that? Where's the money come from for these people to do this? Is the university working hand in glove with NGOs to locate students that want to attend the riots, promising them no downside with their courses and studies and their grades, and then providing the money and the means to go to these things? I mean, how far does this web go? It's clearly there, and then all you got to do is follow the money and follow the encouragement. There's 2 things here. There's the money to do it, but there's also the encouragement, and the university system is open, I believe, openly and brazenly encouraging these people to go out and riot to prevent the deportation of illegal aliens. So Now, the sort of messages going around the universities, particularly the ones where quite a few of these rioters and their students at these universities, the universities are quite brazen and open in there that nothing Donald Trump does, no action of the Trump administration is in any way legitimate. You are morally not only justified, but obliged to oppose it in every way you can. And that makes you, of course, a good person if you do. But this is, again, how are they allowed to do this? I mean, to openly incite treasonous behaviour and illegal behaviour, law-breaking behaviour from the people. You know, they have a duty of care to these people, the students. So there was two things here. You know, the first is that the arrests don't match the pattern of rioters, and I'm talking frontline rioters here, not just people in background, but that don't seem to reflect that, which I just thought was odd. I note that, not sort of wringing my hands in concern, but rather that just noted, well, why don't the arrests reflect the people that are breaking the law, or most brazenly doing it? Are only straight white males breaking the law? Is that, you know, or nearly only? So there's that, and how far people are travelling. Why is it when these people are arrested, are they not being rigorously interrogated? You know, where does the money come from? Whose idea was it you come here? Which university professor said that you should do it? Which university professor said you would get double A grades if you went? And, you know, that all needs to be followed through and investigated. As far as I can tell, it's not being. Maybe it is, but as far as I can tell, it isn't, and it needs to be. You've been with Tassos today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.